Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is the news that Labour are just about to break one of their biggest manifesto promises as they look set to increase your taxes as they have a £50 billion black hole in their expenses. Now, this story is a catastrophe for them, and I'm going to cover an article that's been written about it, and then I'm going to give you my opinion at the end of this video. And it's absolutely mental. And I kind of think, though, most of us could see this coming. So the story, it's been covered by a few outlets, and I'm going to use the Telegraph for reference. It seems to be the most thorough on it. And their headline is Reeves facing 50 billion black hole as tax pressure mounts. Chancellor on course to miss targets and spending promises as finances plunge deeper into the red. Rachel Reeves must raise taxes immediately to plug a fresh 50 billion hole in the public finances, according to one of Britain's most respected economics organisations. Slowing economic growth, a weak jobs market, and the cost of labour about turning welfare spending have combined to plunge government finances deeper in the red, the National Institute of Economic and Social Research warned. Now, Starmer's already been asked about this, and he's completely failed to deny that taxes will be raised. That kind of tells you they are. The Chancellor is now on course to miss her borrowing targets by £41.2 billion, the think tank predicted. If she wants to restore the £9.9 billion of headroom maintained since last year's budget, Ms Reeves must therefore raise taxes or cut spending by £51.1 billion. These are frightening figures. David Aikman, director of NEIESR, said it was increasingly difficult for the Chancellor to avoid raising taxes on working people if she wanted to maintain her fiscal rules and stick to her spending promises. The forecasts will worry Downing Street given Miser's stature. It is Britain's oldest independent economic think tank and was co-founded by John Maynard Keynes, the British economist who helped to shape the modern left-wing thought. That's a wee shame, isn't it? I take it they would probably much prefer to slaughter a Tory government with black holes. Miser's economic model is highly respected globally and used by organisations such as the Treasury and the International Monetary Fund. Right? Its president, Sir Paul Tucker, is the former Deputy Governor of the Bank of England. The warning comes just a year after Rachel Reeves attacked the Conservatives for leaving an alleged £22 billion black hole in public finances. The Chancellor used this to justify what she claimed was once-in-a-generation budget that saw her mount a £40 billion tax raid. Ms Reeves claimed the record-breaking tax increase was necessary to fix public finances. However, the measures are widely thought to have backfired, with business confidence plummeting, unemployment jumping, and inflation once again rising. Mel Stride, the shadow Chancellor, claimed the black hole was a result of Labour's economic mismanagement. Miser's dire forecast suggests the upcoming budget could eclipse last year's budget, despite the Chancellor repeatedly promising not to repeat tax rises on that scale. Attempts to cut government spending have so far met with significant backbench rebellions, suggesting Ms Reeves will struggle to deliver significant savings this way. Stephen Millard, the think tank's deputy director, added that any more moves to amend borrowing rules would risk another Liz Truss moment. Ms Reeves has insisted her fiscal rules were and are ironclad. As a result, tax increases appear the most likely way to plug the black budget hole. Mr. Aikman said, the Chancellor faces an impossible trilemma. It is becoming increasingly difficult to see how the government meets its fiscal targets, sticks to spending promises, and avoids tax increases on working people. Something will have to give. The scale of tax rises required would be the equivalent of a 5p increase to the basic and higher rates of income tax, Mr. Millard said. These are the really hard decisions the Chancellor's going to have to make if she's going to raise the £50 billion. Fiddling at the edges is not going to do the job. Miser said the Chancellor faced costly trade-offs. Freezing the income tax thresholds to mount a stealth raid would mean taking more from low-paid workers and pensioners. Increasing VAT would raise the cost of living for poor households. Higher corporation tax would batter already struggling businesses. Meanwhile, raiding savers and investors would risk undermining future economic growth. Separate HMRC figures showed almost 2.6 million people will be forced to pay tax on their savings this year, up by over 120,000 from 2024. The average saver who receives a bill will pay £2,300, according to analysis by stockbroker AG Bell. Richard Trice, the deputy leader of Reform, said Labour would likely be forced to break its manifesto promise not to raise taxes on working people. And then we have some other quotes by others who are telling you how bad it would be. And Labour backbenchers and the party union backers. Where do we get to? Last night seized on the NISA forecast for renew calls for a wealth tax. John Richards, the Unison Assistant General Secretary, said a wealth tax on the richest in society would be a sensible first step. New levies on the gambling industry could also be considered, and perhaps an online sales tax. Then global giants like Amazon could help contribute more to the UK economy. Richard Burgon, Labour MP for Leeds East, said the government needs to grasp the necessary nettle of redistribution rather than again choosing the path of unpopular cuts. UK billionaire wealth has more than doubled since 2010, and wealth tax of 2% on assets over 10 million could raise 24 billion per year. It's popular with the public, as well as with the ever-increasing number of Labour MPs, and would help to avoid decisions similar to the catastrophic winter fuel allowance cuts and disability benefit cuts. So it's just bonkers, these people. They don't have a grasp on how money works, right? And there's a trio over there that will just keep giving us it. And what we do when we really need some extra, if we need to go to the normal people, we won't do that. We'll just go for the wealthy again, without actually understanding the knock-on effects that has to the rest of the economy. This is very, very simple. We need to stop giving away things for nothing. We need to stop spending money on stupid things. We need to stop. We could sort out 4 billion of that like that. But the immigrant hotels, for example, there's a kicker, right? We have got so many things that we waste money on that these people don't want to touch because they like giving everything free, right? They are communists in the shadow, right? So it's like give folk everything and somebody else will pay for it, tax the rich, tax businesses, and the whole thing. We'll cross our fingers and hope it works out in the long run. And it doesn't. We need to save money. We need to stop borrowing money. We need to stop spending money on stupid things. Why not have a big look at the list and long list of NGOs and charities that either A, provide no benefit for us, or B, provide poor value for us? Cut all that nonsense. Is our civil service too big? Are all these things that we're wasting money on fixable? I've said it a million times. Instead of going and taking money off people, go and make sure the money we're spending has been well spent first. And you've done none of that in 12 months. So I hope every single journalist between now and the budget that is anywhere near Keir Starmer asks him one simple thing. Are you going to stand by the manifesto promise of no tax cuts? Are you going to stand by Rachel Reeves' promise at the last budget that this was a one-off? And watch them cringe because they are bloody useless. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, hit the subscribe and the notification. Let me know your opinions in the comments below, please. And hit the share if you've got any pals that would like to know what Labour are just about to do to them. However, the most important thing of all, unless you are dirty, lying, two-faced politicians that can't lie straight in bed, then no you. But everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.